What's going on YouTube? Back with another video. So today I'm here to talk about my top 5 favorite superhero films. Starting at number 5, X-Men Days of Future Past. In my opinion, this is as perfect. This is as close to a perfect film as you can get. It was really well done. The action was really good. The story was really good. The performances all across the board were really good. I love what they did with the villain. Peter Dinklage can do no wrong. And to have him as the villain, he did a phenomenal job. But they also did a great job of explaining his motives, right? Like, he wasn't just a mustache twirling villain, right? I really love, how we see kind of Professor X rebuild himself. That moment where him and Patrick Stewart, where you have both Professor X on screen at the same time, that was awesome. The Sentinels, they came out really well in the film. I just love that film, and there's not a lot of bad things to say about it. It doesn't really have any major flaws or plot holes, in my opinion. I love the fact that we get a period piece with it too. Kind of get to go back and travel, back in time and travel a little bit. And then the Quicksilver scene. I mean, that scene is awesome. And honestly, like, now you're seeing that scene replicated in other films. That was brilliant. Like, that whole theater was erupting in laughter when I went and saw that in theater. So love that film. It's one of my favorites, definitely. And that's also a number 5 for me. Number 4. And I know some of you are gonna be thrown off by this a little bit, but The Dark Knight Rises is my number 4. I know it's sacrilege to put that over The Dark Knight, but I love The Dark Knight Rises. I think it's an underrated masterpiece. Don't get me wrong. Does it have some plot holes or some flaws? Absolutely it does. But to me, the great things about that film outweigh the bad things about that film. I love it. I love the villain. Tom Hardy as Bane, he was phenomenal. I'm not saying he was better than Heath Ledger's Joker, but I really love what he brought to the role, the physicality, the dialogue, right? The speeches he gave during the fights. I just love everything about him as the villain. Another thing that I loved about it was the action. The fight scenes were really well done, in my opinion. I know the Dark Knight trilogy isn't known for having the best action, but I thought that they did a really good job with the third film. It feels epic in scope. It's a good conclusion. Obviously, we kind of get to see Batman ride off into the sunset with Catwoman. Very well done. Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. That's another great thing about that film. She was phenomenal. She killed it. Like, the fight scenes with her in it were just outstanding. So I really love what she brought to the role. She was actually a really great fit. So yeah, The Dark Knight Rises is my number 4, and my number 3, The First Avengers. I love this film, and I think I mentioned in another video I talked about it. What I love most about this film is that every time I watch it, it feels like it's the first time all over again. I watch it and I feel like a kid again. I just love that film, and it has the Hulk. I mean, the Hulk killed in that film, right? Obviously, that was the first time of us. That was the first time we, as the audience, got to see all the Avengers on screen together at one time, and I just think that they killed it. It was a film that had a lot riding on it too, right? It needed to be successful, and they knocked it out of the park. It still holds up to this day. If you told me that you think it's the best superhero movie of all time, I wouldn't argue. If you told me you thought it was the best MCU film, I wouldn't argue it. I don't think it is, but I mean, it stands the test of time. I think that years from now we'll still be talking about how great that film was and how it not only lived up to the expectations that it had, it exceeded them. And again, it is arguably Marvel's best film. Again, I do have a couple films over it, but again, if you tell me that you think it's number 1, you get no praise from me. At my number 2, Avengers Infinity War, again, had a lot to live up to, and it knocked it out of the park. And they set so much up for Endgame. Like, it was a perfect segue, and it was the action. In my opinion, they might have the best action in any MCU film. Some of those fight scenes, the Tony and Thanos fight scene, A1. It had a lot of emotion running into it too. Thanos was a perfect villain. Oh my god, like, he challenges Heath Ledger's Joker in my opinion. He was that good. Like, and I love the fact that in his mind he was doing the right thing, and he kind of felt like he had almost like Loki says, right? He was burdened with this purpose, right? Because he felt like this was obviously a hard thing, right? You talking about wiping out half of the population, but in his mind he's saving half of the population. He wasn't thinking about, he was looking at like, hey, if I don't do this, everybody dies, right? I'm saving half the world by doing this. And they kind of poked fun at that in What If, that episode where he's up there where everybody's talking about, man, you're trying to commit mad genocide. He was like, no, I was trying to save the world. I was trying to save half of the population. And he was. That's the thing about it. He really was trying to save half the population. And what makes Thanos great is that He was willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish his goal. You know, no matter how hard of a decision it was, whether it was killing his own daughter, you know, whether it was killing other people, destroying a ton of lives. In his mind, he was the hero. He was doing what was necessary. He felt that he was the only one that could do what was necessary. And there's something to be said about that. You know, as a person who was like, you know, no matter how people may view it, no matter what it may cost me, you know, I'm going to I need to accomplish this. I'm going to accomplish this. Obviously, in this case, it's not to be mass genocide, but he does stand the test of time as one of the all-time great film villains, I think, especially if you're talking about in the superhero genre. So I really love that. And then number one, Avengers Endgame. And I think Endgame is perfect. You know, and one thing I love about Endgame is that when it was coming out, they didn't spoil anything in the trailers. If you look at the trailers, there's hardly anything in them. And I love that. Like, you kind of went into it with a blank slate. Obviously, we kind of all knew that the Avengers were going to come back, right? That everybody's going to come back at the end, that they were going to defeat Thanos. But the journey to them doing it was just brilliant. And we got to see a lot of characters interact that we didn't get to see interact before. And I even just enjoyed watching the build up, you know, and obviously they made things roll around the original OG Avengers, and I love that too. You know, you kind of see the guys that started it kind of be the guys that bring everything back together, and that was awesome. And that finale, I mean, what's there not to say about that finale? I mean, that finale is everything you want to be and then some. The theater that I saw it in, people started clapping. You know, it's a 3-hour film. It doesn't feel like it. It more than lives up to everything that it needs to do. So I love the film. In my opinion, it's perfect. You know, the whole Back to the Future thing, the Tony sacrifice, you know, seeing the on your left when Cap, you know, they're fighting Thanos, and then you hear Falcon on your left, which is a nice throwback to Winter Soldier. That was so awesome. Like, they killed it. They knocked it out of the park. Let me know in the comments what's your guys' top 5. So yeah, that's it. So in order, X-Men Days of Future Past, The Dark Knight Rises, The First Avengers, Avengers Infinity War, and my number one in comic book from all time, Avengers Endgame. Again, let me know in the comments what is your top 5, and thanks for watching.